Welcome to another edition of the Civ Battle Royale. My name is Dawkinzz, and we've reached Dalmatian level with part 101, Getting Schooled. We have a very special guest narrator this time, but to start us off, we turn to Lunar Needle. Hello everyone, this is user Lunar Needle, once more with a narration for part 101. We had an amazing narration on behalf of the team, so I thought I'd follow it up with a narration from, well, that's for later. For now, I'm to introduce the original content, chosen from the sub-favorite Albinos Ride Dinos, details why the small Vietnam underneath the assimilated Tibetan motivational couch tries to discuss a peace treaty. Results were less than favorable. Ah, the Boers, enjoying their newfound gains and not worrying about the carnival goers at all in their country. Nope, never. Why would they do that? The Boer machine might have to adapt rapidly for when the carnival is over, though, and the chaos is all too close. Der Erlingkönig, rating a solid 7 out of 10 in difficult-to-say names, provides us an even more solid 10 out of 10 map, having opted to delay the release to confirm a few things that happened in the PR slides. He's the reason we have an amazing GIF that goes through the entirety of the event of the Battle Royale. Seriously, you should check it out. It's on the subreddit. Just search for Der Erlingkönig, and you can find it in the link below. Spherical Melon has an opposite problem. He has the easiest name to say and the most information, but his map looks utterly chaotic. No, it doesn't. It looks great. I don't know what you're talking about. Not helping things is the amount of border gore around bombed-out shells. It seems that unification under one banner would be the only way to get Greece and the Middle East back to normality. Actually, that would result in more husks, which result in more border gore. This truly has gone off the deep end, hasn't it? A vintage map was the headlining act on the Centennial part, so it makes sense to post a more modern rendition, here done by monkey_chumbles. I think the infection is spreading far faster than this graphic entails, and might require an immediate amputation of open borders to fix the problem. Alas, the fix to people being happy is happening, so maybe the agitated neighbors will ask for more for the legendary open borders agreement in the first place. Maybe they'll ask for citrus and 4 gold per turn. Alas, this is my tenure cut short, as I'll pass it on to someone with a bit more stopping power. He who made the 2 best expansions in Civ history. He who made this game. His name, Ed Beach, lead AI designer for Civilization 5 and Civilization 6. Hello to the Civ Battle Royale community. I was happy to jump in and accept this invitation to narrate this episode of the CBR because I've really appreciated how epic this Civ 5 AI battle has become. As many of you know, I started Civilization 5 as our AI lead, and along with getting our AI code in place for that title, I had to evaluate its performance on a daily basis. So, what was our tool to accomplish that? You guessed it. AI autoplay games. Over the 3 years I was in the AI lead role, I watched hundreds and hundreds of AI games and reviewed the results both in the game world and through an extensive AI log. It was my life for a long time. So with AI autoplays being the original genesis of the Civ Battle Royale idea, I feel a definite kinship. Though I do admit I never imagined that we'd ever end up with something so absolutely epic in scope and detail. So take this guest narration as my way to pay back the CBR community for their efforts to turn these games into something amazing. However, we've been pretty busy at Firaxis working on the successor to Civ 5, so although I watched the first 10 or 20 episodes of CBR very carefully, I must confess to being a little out of the loop for most of the recent action. So don't expect any true expert commentary here. Instead, we'll have a combination of gawking at the world that has been created, and then I'll patch in some of the notes that the CBR team forwarded on my way. And I, Dawkinzz, will make my own notes here and there. Yeah, ad-lib, wonderful. Hope you guys don't hate it. Note, we are starting on turn 154 this time, and will proceed for 19 turns up to turn 173. We can see the precursor to our Civ 6 Australian Civ trying to hang on to their foothold in the Asian mainland. They are down to just the single city of Vagon after quite a hefty push into the Vietnamese territory, but it looks like the Trung sisters have kept Henry Parks at bay for now. In Civ 5, we represented Brazil as being good at overseas military endeavors with their World War II era unique units. I'm sorry, I don't speak Portuguese. But conquering remote islands in the Indian Ocean, that's pretty damn impressive. The Kimberley, as indigenous Australians, are a great idea for a Civ. Nice to see them still hanging in there alongside their European colonial brethren, but every one of their cities has damage on it. How long will they hold out? A Brazilian XCOM unit drops onto Sumatra to challenge the Kimberley there. Or does it know something about aliens that we don't? Does Firaxis need to start working on an XCOM and Sumatra DLC? Sibir is a great Civ too. Just look at what a cold, uninviting presence they are on the map. I'm cold just looking at the screenshot. I have to wonder what the Brazilians think of this part of the world. This world is not going smoke-free. Nicotine hits are just required in this stressful of an environment. Perhaps with these future world units, everybody is vaping. Also in the slide we can see that the Aleutian Islands, I think that's what they're called, we have 2 blue lobsters with the Blackfoot up here in their territory, filled with some destroyers and Vertals and other units. The Inuit have simply filled their lands with naval units, but we'll see. I'd suggest that an all-out war between the Inuit and the Blackfoot, at least at this time, these 2 Blackfoot Islands might go a lighter shade of blue. Our updated look at the Kimberley Naval Task Force. The experts from CBR tell me there is no way they will make any inroads against the Australians, but I still am excited to know there is didgeridoo music rising up over the waters here in the southern Indian Ocean. Somehow the Blackfoot Confederacy has a foothold in the southern Philippines. Another cool modded Civ, but wrong place for them to be in power, though they do have a giant death robot near Panoranga. Perhaps I underestimate them. Ah, the Middle East. A confusing jumble of powers in play here, and that looks about it. There are so many things going on in here between the Swedish and the Siberians and the Boers, all vying for territory, but all of the land is consumed up by the locusts that are the Brazilians. The very early struggle between the Americans and Canadians for control of eastern North America was one of the things I remember from the early days of the CBR. Pretty amusing to see that the Inuit are in full, firm control now instead. A look at the other Australian outpost on Asia proper. Doesn't look like this one will hold out much longer. The indigenous powers go to peace. Perhaps an alliance against colonial powers is in their future, but we won't know. Frankly, as a Blackfoot supporter, I'm a little disappointed in this. I mean, what were they trying to accomplish other than getting Olongapo slightly bombed? I mean, they could have sniped a few cities here or there, but otherwise, I guess they just wanted to have the diplomatic bonus with the Boers and Brazil. Hopefully they'll stay on their good side for a while to come, because I have, or at least I hope, Crowfoot has a few good things planned in his future. Look at the business pages from the local Kimberley newspaper shows what they're importing and exporting, but what is to note is they are giving a decent amount of gold to the Blackfoot per turn. That's just going to weaken them and improve the boys in black. The best look at the sea of Brazilian units gobbling up space in Asia. There's simply a Brazilian of them. No one ever told Pedro not to start a land war in Asia? Inconceivable! Now it is the Australians in Cebu under attack, this time from a Vietnamese force. Man, Australia really got their asses kicked. I mean, they were able to clear a lot of Vietnamese units out of the way, but they got nothing left. And also, look at all those announcements. The unsung heroes of this episode show the power of the didgeridoo and take the northernmost Brazilian Indian Ocean outpost back. Or am I getting confused and the Brazilians took the southern city from the Kimberley? Who knows with the CBR? But as it looks right now, the Brazilians are on the back foot with only one unit there that can actually take a city. And then there goes the other one. As a huge fan of Midnight Oil, I can think of so many appropriate songs to listen to right now. This is the exact kind of issue I'd look for when reviewing autoplays. Why the carrier spam with nothing on it? Time to dive back into the code and make an adjustment. This is a better look at the Middle East. Some interesting powers holding on here. Is that both Armenia and Sri Lanka, as well as the ever-present Brazilians? The battle for Antarctic research stations continues between the Boers and the Kimberley. Anyone ever heard anything about one of those appearing in a Civ game soon? The Kimberley look like they appreciate the power of South Pole stations. Perhaps they're trying to find Santa Claus but got lost along the way. Brazil reasserts its claim in the Indian Ocean. No wonder the cities in this game don't have very high population. Jeez. And Cebu falls to the Vietnamese, with it being all of the Australian foothold on the mainland of Asia. Australia really did give a good push, and they were very strong, but the Vietnamese really made a huge comeback. Now both civilizations are devoid of pretty much any units, so the time is right for anybody else to come in and sweep up these gains. Coyote's note, no comment from Ed here, but Inglefer is throwing some shade at Pedro. Best watch out, my friend, those carriers won't fool anyone. The Brazilian cyber subs on the deep ocean frontier will easily do away with all of them on screen. And if we don't remember, Greenland is pretty much filled with both Blackfoot and Brazilians, so that would be a bad thing to lose. And the Brazilian paratroopers retake the Indian Ocean Isles using a extensive air and sea campaign. Will that Mobile Sam be able to take back Pathien? I'm not sure, because Vietnam is still in the way with their little worker. It looks for now that those islands will be green for the time being. And in a peace deal that the Kimberley desperately needed, they surrender the city of Ambon to give the cybernetic Boers a foothold into Southeast Asia. Another look at East Asia. Now all sorts of powers are making a play here. I believe there are more foreign powers in this territory than there are original ones. So that is something kind of weird. A look from deep inside the Brazilian military-industrial complex. Look at that production and the gold and science being produced in the city of Jujuy. Yeah, they're really a force to be reckoned with. Brazil really deserves their #2 spot. The Boers convince me that they like Antarctic research too. I would think a city down here would be nice and safe, but I'm not so sure of that after seeing this shot. If a tile in South Africa isn't under the Boers' thumb, well, then it's a Brazilian unit that might be there. Also, Ulundi hits 40 population. It's a very prominent figure in all of this. And it looks like Kwadwazwakwa in the far east is still puppeted. What are the Boers doing? Our first good look at the Indian subcontinent this part, and who's going to take on Brazil's might? Well, Sri Lanka, of course. Wait, Sri Lanka did something relevant? What the hell are they doing? They're attacking Brazil? That is a very bad idea. For somebody that's been asleep for like 40 parts, this is not the way you make your first move, guys. I missed a strange power the last time we looked at the Middle East. Why, it's the Finns, of course, in Exclavia. It looks like they've exported organic infantry to the region, unlike in modern times where their best exports are usually NHL goalies and death metal. Okay, this is a dramatic picture. The Sri Lankan declaration on Brazil has been met by a wave of incoming XCOM troopers. This could be ugly for those Sri Lankan fans, if they exist, and I do like their tea better than Brazil nuts, so you know who I'm rooting for. But this is exactly what I was talking about. Sri Lanka, what were you thinking? What did you think was going to happen? I guess they had no concept of technology since they're so far behind that the idea of teleporting spacemen was beyond their comprehension, but now look at them. It's like the movie Mars Attacks and fast forward. Oh shit, go Sri Lanka though. I mean, I don't know how they'll stand up against the XCOMs, but they take Pantheon with one of their advanced destroyers. Who says their dreams of offshore island vacation homes can't come true? The Vietnamese continue to make strong gains at the Aussies' expense. They even push across the northern Philippines. Good for them. They've really come back strong against those weak-ass Australians. Come on, they're so disappointing. And a closer look at Calocan and southern Vietnam territories. Well, I guess Calocan is in Vietnamese hands because the Blackfoot are going to prevent any land invasion, but that mobile SAM does have an opportunity if the bombers from the city take out the defenses. It could flip back a few more times, but mainland Vietnam is securely in their hands. The heart of the Swedish Empire, home of the Meatball Biotroopers. Here we see on the right a notification that they're planning some kind of sneak attack, but on whom? We haven't heard from the Buccaneers this installment, but Henry Morgan now denounces Pedro. Is that really a good idea? Doubtful, though the pirates seem to have some giant death robots along the Spanish Main. Quite the upgrade from the Spanish galleons of olden times. But perhaps I'd like to picture them as repurposed pirate ships. They're still wooden and have masts and stuff, but they shoot lasers and bring death upon anyone that comes near them. And once again, we're in the South China Sea. The Aussies regain the northern Philippines. At last, some good news reaches New South Wales. But again, look at all the denouncements on the right side. It's just flipping out. What is going on in the world? The quest for Sri Lankan vacation homes continues as they seem to have surrounded Sri Jayawardena. Come on, I'm going to get it right. Sri Jayawardena Kotte. Yeah, that's the one. They have it surrounded and they're going to take what's rightfully theirs. While new Sri Lankan forces press out of their Arabian Peninsula back at Negomba. What are they doing? Why are they taking so much damage? Who's attacking them? And there you have it. Sri Jayawardena Kotte is a mouthful of a city name, but finally back in the hands of the native settlers who can pronounce that. Korea is the first civ we announced for Rise and Fall for Civilization 6, and one that I've been testing out in recent AI games. They are very good in the upcoming expansion, and now show a bit of might here in this conflict as well. Although they do have a huge navy, a lot of it consists of carriers and non-melee units, but the Australians really have depleted their forces against Vietnam, so who knows what could happen if Korea declares war. The Blackfoot would be in the way, but not for very long if they're able to get around them. Somehow a Hawaiian tropical paradise remains in the Central Pacific. The Polynesians were a great add for Civilization 5, but it's not looking like this Battle Royale is giving them much room to shine. Quite the embarked Brazilian army here in the South Pacific, mingling with an Inuit Southern Navy. Things are getting a little too peachy here, but yeah, I'm not surprised to see Brazil filling literally everything. Hey, what's going on in that bottom right corner? Well, we'll get to that in a second, but Henry Morgan decides it's a smart pirate strategy to denounce all of your powerful neighbors. So they have Brazil to the south, the Inuit to the north. I guess they're looking to get Eiffel Towered. But wait, the French were eliminated a long time ago. Oh, no, Crowfoot, don't do that. Don't. No, you're friends. You've been friends for literally forever. Get over it, man. And maybe they just... What do they, just like steal your pizza slice or something like that? You got the last slice? It's okay. Oh, boy. No, Crowfoot, don't attack the Inuit or don't get attacked by them, please. Now we get to the meat of the situation. The Boers have declared war on Sri Lanka. So now they have the number 1 and number 2 civs on their ass. So Paul Kruger first came into Civ with our Scramble for Africa scenario, but maybe folks will remember him best for his role in this Civ Battle Royale. Here he starts a new war and is eyeing the Indian subcontinent far away. But Brazil seems to have gotten to India first. Man, they filled that up real quick. The Boers are really going to have to fight for this one. Maybe Sri Lanka suffers, sandwiched between Brazil in the north and these Boers coming north from Colombo. Yeah, it's not going to be good for Sri Lanka. They didn't know what was going to hit them with that declaration of war. And wow, Henry Parks of the Australians push back and reconquer Cebu with a lot of Blackfoot forces looking on. A rare look at the Caspian region. Finns and Siberians, experts both in the northern realms, are fighting it out for this less northern climb. What? Whoa, what? Another denouncement for the Koreans, but what is Blackfoot? What are you doing? What are you doing? Do you really stand to make gains? You're just gonna lose Olangapo. Sabir and the Blackfoot declare war in a joint operation against the Vietnamese. Well, I guess the Vietnamese didn't really have many units left over with their war with Australia. I suppose they're looking for a snipe here and there. So, let's see how it goes. Good luck, guys. And I guess it's time to officially make peace with the Finns before Korea considers any other target. Honestly, I think everyone forgot that Finland and Korea were still at war. A slight bit of a border between the Siberians and Vietnam still exists, just enough evidently, but Brazilian peacekeepers are entirely in the way. This is going to be a very different war than the incredible meat grinder stalemate they had before, thanks to the Boers coming in and sweeping through Vietnamese territory. Let's see what kind of damage the Siberians can pull this time around. Interesting. More wars are breaking out. I'm still learning some of these symbols, but it looks like the Blackfoot are squatting in Vietnamese lands, and they've gotten a lot more dangerous. I guess things are good. I mean, there are a couple of Blackfoot units and no Vietnamese units. This is weird. Oh, boy. Yeah. This is good. This is very good. The war continues in central India, with the Brazilians looking to make serious gains against the Sri Lankans. And the Vietnamese and Australians, both losers this time around, smartly realize that there are bigger fish to fry. Yikes, the price of peace with Australia was mighty steep, but the Trungs need to get away from Henry Parks if they mean to stand a chance against both the Blackfoot and Siberians. Ooh, there is definitely blood in the water. I mean, the Vietnamese have more to worry about, but I guess they're trying to rapidly expand their eastern front. In the top, you can see that Fatehpur Sikri was taken by the Boers. Sorry, Brazil, you just got Boer blocked. But there's definitely more territory for them to gain. As eagle-eyed observers have noticed on the minimap, the Trungs still came away with Cebu and Caloocan in the peace deal. The Trungs may have given out the most ludicrous amount of cities last album, but still show that their diplomatic skills have not all but vanished overnight. Unfortunately for them, these are all just new juicy targets for the Blackfoot. Hoi An turns blue, and a few more cities are likely to follow, with no Vietnamese reinforcements in sight. And our final game screen shows that the Finns are threatening to take Wuppertal from the Siberians. What? What are you doing, guys? Coyote joins us now to talk about the Info Attic slides. Crop yields don't reveal much, but again, we must note how Korea really should be doing more with its resources. The bottom half shows the large disparity between the remaining competitors. Even so, the Kimberley and Sri Lanka fought well on emptier stomachs. Ooh, that juicy production. Crowfoot best keep his expectations in check. His production won't be able to keep up with a freed-up Vietnam now. Armenia showing us once again that Hawaii is indeed not in last place. An overall minor impact to the game now, but there are still several civs catching up on their social policies. A lowly Hawaii is still last in one thing, it seems. Not that culture is of high importance in their cozy hideout. The military graph reveals that even Brazil's incredible climb has decelerated, and many of the other leaders also go down. The Blackfoot are the only ones showing considerable upward progress. Let's see how this war with Vietnam continues to go. Global relations have really broken down of late. Look at this mess. A far cry from the lull around part 86. Maybe someone from the sub will break this down neatly for observers back home. I, of course, already know a few things or two, but it's fun watching everyone speculate. And that's it for installment 101. This is Ed Beach speaking at the moment. Thanks again to the Civ Battle Royale community for letting me jump in here and be a small part of this fascinating world. And thank you all for joining me, Dawkinzz, on this audio narration. Special thanks to Ed Beach, of course, for being a part of this community. We really appreciate literally everything you have done, for without your work, this would not be possible whatsoever. So thank you, kudos to you, and we look forward to other things that you're working on. But for everyone else, my name is Dawkinzz. I'm going to be a shill for a second and just say, like and subscribe, guys. If you really like it, please, it really supports me and this hobby, and I really appreciate it. But until we meet again, we'll see you next time.